The Beef and Barnsey Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. It is just me here today. So let me know. Let me know you're here. Say hello. We are going to be doing tier lists. Hey, Nico, what's going on? We're going to be doing tier lists this morning. So I've got a slightly different way I'm going to do it today. Just let me finish up one thing. I'm just trying to create space so this episode will get saved. There we go. Right. Okay. So, yeah, good spot, Nico. There we go. Been all over the place this morning. All right. Let's see what's going on. I'm hoping that's better. Yep. There we go. All right. So, Dan, nice to see you. John. Oh, sorry, Joe. Hello. Yes. Cool. Yeah. Richie Teese came away with the Nice Guy Award, or the I Don't Talk to Very Many People Award. And Nate Purchase, the Rookie of the Year. And I would think that EJ is going to be the Player of the Year. So, all right, let's get on with what everybody's here for. So, here we go. So this is how I'm going to farm interactions with you guys today. So, this is the tier list, but we are going to have a chat tier list also. And I'm going to click on the right window. So you will know that this is the chat tier list because there is also a happy face next to the love emoji. So, yeah, let's talk about the tiers. So we have the Love It tier, which is going to be S tier. We've got the Ball and Pins, which is kind of strike. We have then got the Bag, which is basically carry it everywhere. Then we have the Car, which means if I drove, I would take one. And then we have the X, which we're using in terms of baseball strikeout, which means that it wasn't really a hit for me. Somebody's saying the Harsh Reality Solid is missing. I don't believe the Harsh Reality Solid was released in 2024. This is only the balls we did this year. So yeah, I had the Harsh Reality Solid as a 2023 ball. So yeah, same with like say Absolute Power. That would have been another favorite because Aiden said Harsh Reality Solid is missing. So for once, you're saying it was 2024. Okay. Well, it's missing. Spoiler alert. It wasn't very good for me. All right. So, where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? That is the question. All right. So, should we should we get a couple of balls? Should we get a couple of balls on this list? All right. So I'm going to start with a couple that I think are pretty obvious. For me, the Road is definitely an X. The Attention Star is here. Not necessarily my favorite. Let's see. Road Warrior is already in the Love It category. The Hustles,
I didn't throw this one at all, so it's going to be an X, but only because I didn't throw it. This one here it'll go in the car. Lightning Blackout. Now, for me, that was another one that was meh. Didn't really use it almost at all. So, all right. Let's switch over to the chat tier list. Oh, your balls are in different spots than mine. Did I not get? Oh, okay. All right. So let's start with the XL. What's the general thoughts on the XL? What are we thinking? Is it going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 for you guys? What do you think? Is the XL a good one or not? Let me know in the chat, and I will start answering some of these questions. I've got an Absolute Power Summit, and I want to get a Pearl cover stop. What should I go with? Obviously, it depends. It depends a little bit on whether you want a stronger pearl or kind of, a weaker pearl. For me, Road Warrior would be a good option. I think let's see. I think you could also consider something like, if you wanted something a little bit stronger than that, you could consider the Attention Star. That would be much closer to, say, Absolute Power. Yeah. Another good one, I think, is the God, where is it? What was I thinking? Oh my God, the Vibo would be another option, I think. The Virtual Energy Blackout. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Started on time. I know that's kind of a rarity. XL is probably a 2 for me. Could be a bit specific for top tier. We've got another 2 here. Stuart says it's a 5 of 3. High Road Nano is the nuts. Well, it's not 2024, so yeah, if you're a lower rev rate bowler, I think that the another pearl you could consider is the Origin. That's a really strong ball, but that's a pearl ball also. I like the Road Warrior. My wife likes the Road Warrior. All right, so XL, it seems, is going to be from the averages, it seems like it's going to be a 2 or a 3. So we'll give it a 2 to start with. What about Ion Max for you guys? Strongest ball there is. What are we thinking? What are we thinking on the Ion Max? Like, if I was to go back to my page, I think that right now, because of how it fills the gap, Ion Max is actually in the love it tier for me. So 1 all day, 2 strong for house. Frank says leave it in the car. 1 all day, and then I haven't thrown it yet. Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be a little bit of the problem with this list, I guess, for some people. They won't have necessarily thrown all of the balls. Maybe look at it as this: if it's balls that you're excited to drill, yeah, maybe your level of excitement should be what we do it off. What about Road Warrior versus Phase AI for the pearl? The Road Warrior is going to be quite a bit cleaner than the Phase AI. Phase AI stands up pretty hard. It's quite early for a pearl ball, I think. So really, it's going to depend on if you've got a bit more speed. I think Phase AI might look okay. I think speed and rotation both look good for the people with the Phase AI. I think the people who are a bit more up the back of it tend to see it quit a little bit. So not a fan of balls with white. Ironback's only been out the bag on 24 when it's tight down lane for me. Yeah, okay. Really excited to drill a max. Seeming like there's some quite decent positivity towards the max. So we're going to give it that one. All right. You guys pick a ball. Which ball do you want? Yeah, very funny, Donnie. Donnie says send him one of each and he can test them and let me know. All right, pick a ball. Pick a ball, chat. Which ball do you want to do next and where'd you see it? Somebody pick one. But let me see. Let me see. Yeah, we answered that. Chris is absolutely loses his mind over it. The grip shouldn't stick up by the rules of the game. I mean, I think there should be a little bit of leeway, but when they're sticking out way too much, then they should be cut or glued properly. So, yes. All right. Let's get back to my list. This isn't working as well as I hoped it would for you guys. So, let me see. Phase AI. For me, Phase AI isn't one that I particularly like very much. It's not one that's worked out that well for me. Haven't really got to use it that much. I did have one in the car though, so it's going to go in the car for now. The Origin, so far for me has been a pretty big hit. So that's there. The Vibo, yeah. Harsh Reality Pearl for me is another one that goes in the car. Not really my favorite. I think it's got quite a specific use case for me on kind of longer patterns. But yeah, not necessarily one that I would love. Who are you responding to, Scott? I guess I don't get the text chain in here. So, Physics Blackout could be a good ball if you open your angles, would be a bit more rolling. Yeah, but it's dull. So it's not really like, I don't think it's like how people consider a pearl ball. This is only the balls released in 2024. And I guess I missed the Harsh Reality Solid. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But like also generally lazy. So let's have a look at this. So Ion Pro for me was here in the love it tier. Now it's just in the really good. Tends to throw a lot of strikes. Yeah. Do you prefer the Ascent with a little surface or lane shine? Good question. I think for me, it makes more sense with a little surface because with it being R2S, it's already pretty clean. So I don't necessarily need it to have more skid, so to speak. So I think it makes more sense for me with a little more surface. Same goes for like Ion Pro. No, I mean, just in general, I think when people are referring to a pearl ball, they're talking about something that's a bit faster response. And I think that the Exponent is a really poor choice because for me, the solid Exponent is super smooth and the pearl one is super responsive. So that's a little rough for me. All right, let me do an obvious one here. DNA Coil is obviously in the God tier. It can be there because it's numero uno. Favorite ball, arguably getting into the favorite ball of all time category. Yeah, but that wasn't the question he asked. He said he wanted a Pearl ball and he had a Summit and an Absolute Power. So if he takes a physics blackout, he's going to have a ball that's stronger, that's just as smooth as the ones he's got. So that's not going to expand his arsenal, is it? That's the problem. Like you're gonna get the balls to complement what you want and expand like the parts of your bag that like to cover more options. You're gonna need something that's not as smooth. You can't just use smooth all the time on everything. So yeah. Okay. The Journey was okay, but it wasn't one that I used very much, and it got released in 2023. I could have put all of the balls in here, but I was just kind of focusing on like 2023. 2023 was basically where we were focusing. So, sorry, 2024, not 2023. So, all right. Let me have a look at this. Excel is another one that's kind of in the car for me. I guess that in the bag tier is a bit weird because I don't have anything in the bag. But yeah, that's been that's been a good one. Yes, Power Edge could well be S tier. That is probably a good way of looking at it. So yeah, I am fascinated to see how some of the new balls that we get next year. Don't know any of them yet, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting to see how Power Edge kind of expands the arsenal and whether we see any more balls with the other polish on it, which is Reactor Gloss, whether we see any more Reactor Gloss balls, because Attention Star isn't necessarily one of my favorites, but has been one of the best balls in the market last year. So obviously that has an audience. It has like fans. So it'll be interesting to see if they do any of those things next year. Okay. So Attention Star S2 is definitely here with a strong case to be here at the minute. So that's going to go there. Summit Ascent is finally something that I have in the bag. It's kind of the ball. I've kind of switched out the phase 2 for it. I find that the phase 2 is a little early on a lot of stuff now for me. And like we've chatted about in the past, if I kind of want that early reaction, I have been focusing more on using an asymmetrical ball in that spot, which is a little bit why Sublime Focus hasn't been as popular for me as it could have been. So Sublime Focus is... Be quiet, Siri. Sublime Focus doesn't go there, goes here. It's a ball that I carry around that I haven't necessarily found a massive spot for, but I think that it's a little stronger than the phase 2. I guess I'd be looking for something that would skid and then snap hard. Does that help? Yeah, I mean, then I think you should look at the V-Bow or the Road Warrior. I think they would be the two options for me. Yeah. So I think for me, me and Chris spoke about this quite a lot when we drilled those Ion Pros. I think you've really got to focus on a stronger layout than you would normally use, with kind of how it is. I think it rolls better with, like, so for me, I use a lot of 5.5-inch pins, like 5 3/4-inch pins and stuff. So on that ball, I kind of went almost an inch stronger. So I've got like 4.5s and 4 3/4, slightly shorter buffers. That's kind of worked out really well for me specifically. I try to keep the surface on it because I feel like once it loses the surface, I don't feel like I have a consistent break point with it. I kind of hope that makes a little sense, but like for me, having that surface means that it's got one spot that it'll definitely hook, but it, regardless of almost how much surface I put on it, I mean, within reason, it still gets through the front part of the lane. So I think that makes it quite a unique piece. So yeah. Okay, Stu, if you had to, in a pinch, I needed some polish, had two choices, Reactogloss or Finesse 2, what are you picking? I think Reactogloss. I haven't really used Finesse too much, but I think Reactogloss. For me, if you get enough surface underneath, and it really depends on which ball it is as well. I think the balls that are a little slower, I don't think Reactogloss is that bad. I think the balls where they're really quick, I think it just makes them even quicker and a little hard to control for me. But like I said, there's been a lot of success with people using it, so it's clearly not a bad thing. Hey, Zach, what's going on? I have a Harsh Reality, Proton Physics, Eternity, UC2, Exponent TNT, Exponent Pearl, Zen, and Wolverine spare ball. How many gaps do I have in my arsenal? At least a couple. Like for me, Harsh Reality and Proton Physics is fine, but then you've got a huge gap, in my mind, on the smoother side down to the TNT and the Exponent. So I think that you could fit in something like, I would have said Absolute Power, but now like something like Attention Star S2. The Eternity, I think the UC2 is quite a bit less than the Eternity, like way longer. So I think you could fit something in between the UC2. You have got the Zen. The Zen is going to be way further up your bag, in my opinion. I mean, I guess Zen might fit that gap a little bit. But overall, you just got a couple of strange pieces, like that are very kind of unique reactions. So it would kind of, yeah. I mean, I think your major gap is between Proton Physics and the Eternity. Which balls do you use the most? That'd be what I'd ask, because it feels like you've got a bunch of balls over here and a bunch of balls over here, and you don't really have the connectors. Yeah, I guess. I'm a rev dominant one hand no thumb, isn't yes, I think so. Probably the smoothest of all the hustles, but you still get like a decent amount of skid through the front part of the lane, relatively speaking. They're not super strong, so I think I like that. I had an iron drill 5x5x2 and kept it scuffed with 2. I use that ball constantly. Yeah, like I say, I think if you have stronger pins, like a 5-inch pin, a 2-inch buffer it's not super strong, but it's definitely on the stronger side. You should be able to get a decent amount of flare out of it. My Iron Pro is 4.5x4x4 with step 2. I would probably take 2000. They were hooking more earlier this year, and I had 801 with it. Yeah, awesome. Attention Star S2 and Fate have been great for me. Also, Attention Star in certain conditions, optimized just below. Okay, Gary. All right, sounds good. Yes, I agree. I think they've all been excellent. All right, let me continue this on idle. The idle pearl, I think for anybody who watches this show knows that that's not one that I use very much at all. Exponent pearl, when it was around, had a place. Kind of faded it out a little bit now, but I did use it. Optimum idle is just not one that I've really used. I mean, I'm kind of in between. It's kind of in between here. So we'll put it there. And then this physics blackout for me, I don't have enough reps with it yet. I think it's going to end up here, but for now, it's going to be here. So balls that I use a lot that aren't on this list, Absolute Power would be in this top tier. Also, Vibo would probably be in the bag tier. Although since I've changed it over to Reactor Gloss, since I've changed it over from Reactor Gloss to Power Edge, I've had a lot of positive feedback on it. It's become more and more useful for me. Phase 2 for me is a in the car ball. Can't really remember the last time I got it out the car though, so that's kind of a bit of a problem. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate the tip. If you have a question, just throw it in the chat. I have Vibo, DNA, Eternity, Nova, Optimum, Helios, Zen, Emerald, IQ Tour Pearl, I guess. OG Wolverine, need lessons, not equipment. Yeah. I mean, like I say, depending on which part of the country you're in. I mean, there's a lot of good guys around. If you're finding it hard to find someone, check out markbakerbowling.com and send a video over to him. I think he's still doing the video lessons. So I think you can get a lot of useful information from that. Alternatively, you could also check out his video. I think it's on his site. It's $75. It really breaks down the physical game and like the things that are most important. It might be useful to you to watch that. Pick up some of the things, so you kind of talk in the same language with Baker. And then if you feel like that improves you, great. And if you feel like you get some improvement, but you want to continue to improve, then do the lesson after that. At least then you'll have a basic understanding of how he sees the game and the ways to do physical game. Ryan, hey, thanks a lot. Frequent contributor. He says, just got my Ass 2, planning to get my XL Shine with Power Edge to give some separation. Seems like people have liked it shiny. Yeah, I think there has been some positivity with the XL Shiny. Barnes, on the other hand, almost is probably going to have those balls the other way round. He likes the XL with a bunch of surface on it, and he hasn't really got the Attention Star S2 in play as much. So I think that he's probably going to take the surface up a little bit on the Ass 2. I'd love calling it the Ass 2. I'm sorry. I just think it's great. And the fact that it's a really good ball is fine to call it the Ass. If it was bad, it wouldn't be good if it was called Ass 2. But yeah, like for me, I feel like that could make sense. You just got to be a little careful not to drill the XL, maybe drill the XL a hair weaker as well to, enhance the separation a little bit. But yeah, can be an option for sure. Low res speed dominant. I have some big ASIMs, but they lock up on me too fast and don't shape down lane. The two that I have seen specifically recently that look quite good for the exact style you're talking about are the Origin and the Blackout. I think both of them are quick enough that they make a motion down lane, even with the faster speed. So they would be the two that I would look at. Probably the Blackout first, the physics Blackout. No, my reality replacement is the Ion Max. yeah, that's basically been my reality replacement. Hello, Brody. I have Ion Pro, DNA Coil, Summit, and Magic Gem. What would you recommend if I'm a mid-rev guy? Thank you. I think you should probably think about something a little on the weaker side. Yeah, something a little cleaner. For me, Road Warrior is the one that sticks out. My wife has a lower rev rate, a little bit lower speed, and she absolutely adores the Road Warrior. I don't know. I've heard anybody say that they don't like the Road Warrior yet. So I know Jordan Richard is really liking it. My wife's really liking it. Ryan Barnes, he really likes it. I loved it from like the second shot. So yeah, that's been the one that's been pretty popular. Yeah, I tried it. I had a little more success with the Magic Gem with Shine than the original gem. I felt like when I polished the original gem, it just ended up being just weaker. It didn't really make it quicker. When I polished the Magic Gem, I feel like it did speed up a little bit, like become a bit more angular, make a more defined move. So yes, I had a little bit of success doing that for sure. Hey Shane. So just got the Attention Star S2 and Physics Blackout, both laid out the same. I run over my thumb on the Physics and not on the S2. Is that a core issue, or do you suspect something else? I do track kind of close to my thumb on some balls, and I have seen this happen. I'm not really smart enough, unfortunately, to know exactly why it does happen. Is it really affecting the reaction? Because I mean, nobody really wants to hit the thumb, but for me, when I do hit the thumb, I tend to not really worry about it, because as long as your thumb's like flush and it's not bouncing, I don't think it affects the reaction that much. So I think it more affects mental game than actually, the way the ball rolls. So, could you just clarify what the second number on VLS? The second number is the mass bias. So like a 5x4x3 would be a 5-inch pin, a 4-inch mass bias, and a 3-inch pin buffer. Yeah. So they're basically, if you think about it as level of importance, the pin to pap has the most difference. I would think that the PSA or the mass bias to the axis has the next most, and then the pin buffer probably has the least impact on the layout. And I say with extremes, I'm sure you could argue it, but that's the way I look at it, and the way it makes it easier for me to remember. Always pin up on a symmetrical ball. I don't really drill basically I don't drill any symmetrical balls pinned down. So I went with 5.5-inch pin on that one, and a 3-inch buffer. I mean, I like the Attention Star a little better with the Power Edge polish on it than I did with Reactor Gloss. I just think it made it a bit more rounded and a bit more continuous. So, yeah, that's what I've seen out of it anyway. Hey, how are we doing, Starchy? I've got a DNA coil, Optimum Mile, and an Exponent Solid. I've just got an Ion Max and was wondering, what do you think I'm missing? I'm two-hander, medium high speed, and higher rev rate. Thank you. So, I would think that from my experience, you're probably missing a urethane ball if you're a two-hander. So that would be one to consider. I think that if you went Ion Max, it depending on how the surfaces are and how new they are and everything, I would probably go Ion Max, Optimum Idle, DNA Coil, and then the Exponent Solid. I think maybe depending on how much you use the Exponent Solid, if you get to use the Exponent Solid quite often, I think that like a Road Warrior might be a good complement to it. You know, having something that was a little more responsive down the lane. But overall, I mean, as a 3-ball arsenal, you're always going to have gaps. So, if you're going to add balls, just be a little careful not to add ones that are too similar. Like, so for example, with the Optimum Idle, if you've just got this setup, I probably wouldn't add a Sublime Focus to the arsenal if you're only going to have like the 4 or 5 balls, because I think they'll be too close. You know, same thing as like you've got the Exponent Solid. I probably wouldn't add Ion Pro or IQ Tour, because I think they'll end up being a little bit too similar also. So yeah. Hope that helps. Hey Glenn, he says, little late. Have you tried surfs on the Phase AI? I have. It still didn't really do it for me. I'm just not feeling the stronger symmetrical balls these days. Yes, I do think it's a little more responsive than maybe people thought it was. I just think that the people with a little more axis rotation are liking the Phase AI a bit better. I think the guys who roll it a bit, not so much. How does Harsh Pearl compare to the AS2? For me, the Harsh Pearl is way more responsive. And I think that it tends to get a little more forward than the S2. The S2 for me is more like my replacement for Absolute Power, I think. Just a little earlier than the Absolute Power, but kind of that same sort of like multi-pattern use, like can use it a lot, chance to be a benchmark. Whereas Harsh Reality Pearl is more like Exotic Gem, I think. So if you have a better idea of like what like the Absolute Power and the imagine the Absolute Power and Exotic Gem. I think that's kind of Harsh Reality and Attention Star S2. I think both those are just a bit stronger than both of the other two, but it's kind of a similar relationship. I hope that makes sense, because I sounded like I was just rambling and talking shit, but in my mind it makes sense. So I hope that I conveyed that. Favorite layout you've used on a coil? I think probably the 5 3/4 inch pin, 4.5 inch mass bias, and a 3-inch buffer has been kind of just the simple pin above the bridge. But I have used it a little stronger than that. I've used it down, had success with kind of all of them. But I think the ones that I've used the most, certainly the ones I've drilled the most, have been that like 5 3/4 inch pin. How much separation do you see between Sublime Focus and Optimum Idle? For me, Sublime Focus is a little more dynamic. Like I feel like it changes direction a little harder. I think Sublime Focus is a little stronger overall as well. So for me, I feel like the Sublime Focus covers more boards. The Optimum Idle is a bit more of a control piece. This is the question we get asked all the time, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like for me, the physics blackout isn't even remotely close to the virtual energy blackout. Like they're like 3 balls apart at least. Like if I'm using a physics blackout, I'm gonna go like physics blackout to like an attention star. I've got like the origin, I've got the DNA coil, and then maybe the Vibo, but I mean there's probably still another couple that I could fit in there. For me, the virtual energy blackout is really clean. Yeah, really gets through the front part of the lane. So yeah. If you're composing a 6-ball bag, what would it be? Okay. If it was only taking 6, even though it's in like kind of the god tier, I might, unless I was going to something where I knew we were going to bowl on quite a bit of oil, I think I might have the physics blackout as the top of the range ball. Then below that, I think I'd have the Attention Star S2, and I mean, I'd have the coil, but I could have the origin also. So I'd have those 3. Sorry, I'd have these 2, this one, and then below that, I mean, I'd obviously have a spare ball to make it 4. The Road Warrior would obviously be the weakest ball to make it 5. And then from there, it would really depend on what I was bowling on. But Ion Pro might be a pretty solid option also. So Physics Blackout, Attention Star S2, DNA Coil, Ion Pro, Road Warrior spare ball, I think would be the 6 I would go with. Yeah, I think it's a little stronger than the Phase 2, to be honest, from what I've seen. So is Physics Blackout more close to Big A Sims? Yes. For me, it's going to be in between Ion Max and Excel. Yeah, it's going to hit the gap. Out of Tour Dynamics, Black Hammer, Trend, Fate, and IQ Ruby, what ball is missing in this bag that will be better than all? I mean, given the balls that you like, I think Ion Pro would be a good option. I think Ion Pro is like kind of what we all hoped the Tour Dynamics would be when it first came out. So yeah, from what you've seen. Hey Henry, 60-year-old, average speed, 14 average revs, 14-ish mile an hour. Bad reaction, leaving 4-5 or book at 5-7. What are some pieces I can do pin down to retain energy? I wouldn't 100% recommend drilling it pin down, but on a symmetrical ball. But if you're really sat on that, I think Road Warrior would be an excellent choice. I think you could also consider doing Ion Pro. I think that might be a decent choice for you. If you can still get a DNA coil, I think a DNA coil would work out pretty good also. I'm just thinking about kind of, because you're in somewhat the same boat as my wife. She also likes a few of the hustles. So Hustle Rip would be another one that would be a good option. Thanks, Jeff. Good morning, Stu. DNA Coil is the ball of the year for me personally. So fun throwing at Happy Holidays. Yeah, I was devastated when they discontinued the DNA Coil. I've made tons of money this year with the DNA Coil. Certainly a huge, like a high percentage of all the money I've made this year has been with that ball. So yeah, I was very sad to see that one go. But you know. Phase 2 Optimum Idol Ion Pro GB5 rank 1 to 4. What am I ranking them in terms of how strong they are? I would think it would probably go Phase 2 Optimum Idol GB5 Ion Pro if I was rating them from strong to weak. Ion Pro Reality S2. If splitting hairs, does the physics blackout fit between any of these? Yeah, if you're splitting hairs, I guess it would fit between the Reality and the S2. for me, it's going to be it's going to be about the same overall hook as the reality, but I think you're going to see a bit more down lane, maybe a little cleaner. So yeah. I kind of knew it was coming, so I got myself reasonably stocked up. I'm not Jillian Martin on that green ball that she used stocked up, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm good for a while. Hey, Billy. Yes, I actually, it's funny you should say that. I shot 817 on Tuesday night with a pin down origin on the house shot. I'm not sure it is so good for people with kind of lower ball speeds, though. The origin is really a pretty strong ball. But yeah, overall, yeah, I think the origin is a pretty useful piece that, especially if you've got a little more ball speed, you're going to get to use it quite a bit. No, not really. Like we've chatted about that a little bit on the show. I've kind of ended up replacing it with the Summit Ascent or an asymmetrical ball. Amazon was actually not able to deliver me any Kickstart, so I'm actually out. So I'm just on a regular Diet Mountain Dew. So, yeah, Amazon fucked me, for want of a better description. Hey, Joshua. Two-handed. I'm trying to separate my VBO to my attention star and the DNA coil. Is it good idea to make the VBO pin down? Lower pin to also, what layer do you recommend for pin down? Okay, so like for me, I think you're going to see a decent amount of separation between the VBO and those two anyway. If you do go pin down, I tend to, as a rule of thumb, drill the balls about half an inch stronger when I go down as opposed to up. Now, that might be just in relation to my track, but just in general, the balls flare quite a bit less when you go down. So, like, if I use my 5 3/4 inch pin layouts that flare a decent amount up and I do that down, it like basically almost doesn't flare at all. So, be careful about that. But yes, definitely you want to be a little bit stronger. There isn't really a too slow because it's all going to depend on the lanes that you're bowling on and the oil that you're using and like how much of it and everything else. I just feel like faster ball speeds, like with the leaves that you were leaving, what balls are you using now? Because I was looking for balls that I knew were going to hold energy and kind of get up the hill, so to speak, down the lane, you know, like really like want to finish hard for you. So with the leaves that you were talking about, I felt like the strong balls probably weren't necessarily. Out of those balls, the Origin is probably better than the XL because the XL is still pretty smooth. So I was just looking for something that you could see come off it a little better. So, all right. So that's basically my tier list. I think it was an epic fail trying to do a tier list with you guys. We didn't really get enough people in the chat, like going back and forth. So I'll remember that for next time. Sometimes you have good ideas, sometimes you don't. I think that wasn't a very good one for me. Yeah, in a wood house, I think you're going to struggle a little bit if you've got that slower ball speed like you're talking about. Because, I mean, if it's 14 on the monitor, it's not super slow. But if it's 14 off your hand, then yeah, I think you're going to need to use something a little clean, a little less core than that. Looking for a benchmark as a higher rev, medium speed bowler. I was thinking Iron Pro. Yeah, I mean that definitely could fit the bill. I mean, there's lots of things. You could go with Summit Ascent. You could go with the S2. I guess it depends what you like to your eyes right now, and then you kind of build it out from there. Like, if you're seeing yourself using a lot of stronger pieces, then the ball that can dictate how you move your arsenal around, which is basically all the benchmark is, can be a stronger asymmetrical ball. If you find yourself never really using strong balls, then you want your benchmark to be a little weaker. Hey, Glitter. I'm a higher ball speed, high rev player with moderate axis rotation, lower tilt, looking for a good ball recommended from league to start with. Just started after 7 years off. For me, yeah, I think that you probably can't go wrong with Physics Blackout, Attention Star S2. If you want to see more motion down lane, if you like seeing more motion down lane, the Origin is also another option. But for me, especially if you're talking about first game, I would look at Attention Star S2 or the Physics Blackout. Probably lean towards Physics Blackout because it's a little more motion. Both a little bit. Right now, if I was replacing the power, I think that's the easiest one to replace. I think that's the Attention Star S2. When it comes to replacing the coil, however, I don't really have a good option right now. I think that the Origin is a little too strong to be a direct replacement. So I've been kind of messing around with the Origin in that gap, but I think the Origin's a little too strong. So thankfully, I've got a decent stash of coils. So I think that's the direction we're going to go for now. Hey, what's going on? Reality Summit Iron Pro. Is there any recommendations you have to fill in the gaps? So many. I think you need a more responsive ball to add to your set. So if you find yourself using Reality in the Summit, I think you could go with an Origin if you use those the most. If you see yourself using the Ion Pro a lot, then you could look at the Road Warrior. But you need something a little bit more responsive. Yeah, I am heading to England next week. Me, Tina, and Brady are going to see my parents for a couple of weeks. So that's what I'm doing over the Christmas break. We basically alternate every other year. This year was our turn to go to England. So that's what we're doing. Yes, totally agree. Absolute's been my benchmark ball basically the whole year. Absolute Power. I used the Absolute previously. So, yeah, for me, both those balls were really useful. Yeah, I feel like the Absolute Power and the coil were awesome together. And like I say, I'm still struggling a little bit. If you have a little more speed, I think the Origin could be close. Yeah, it's been gone a little while. Yes, pretty much. Maybe not the highest rev rate guys like it as much, but definitely I absolutely love it. My wife loves it. And we're both pretty different styles. For me, the Road Warrior is a little more rounded. I think that it's a little weaker also. The V-Bow is kind of the definition of hockey stick for me. I think the Road Warrior is a little more rounded. I feel like I can use speed a little better with the Road Warrior. Road Warrior is a little more controllable. I didn't really need to try very hard. I got him before it got discontinued. I honestly have no idea what that is. So I've seen the advert, but I'm not. If you imagine we've got the pyramid with Tyler Jensen and, Hank and the marketing department just below him, and then like I guess the sales staff, and then I guess the ball reps, and then I guess it's the pro players, and then I guess you guys are the tier below us. So we know nothing. Honestly, I'm not bullshitting you. I don't know anything about it. I've seen the advert, same as you. I've wonder what the hell that is. Same as you guys. But yeah, no idea. Hey Stu, just got the S2. Where does it go with S2, Harsh Reality, DNA Coil, Vibo, Optimum Idol, XL? So, like for me, it's going to go Harsh Reality, Attention S2, probably XL. Then it's going to be dependent on how you see the reaction, but I would think that probably Optimum Idol, Attention Star, DNA Coil, Vibo is the direction I would see that fitting. But yeah, so I think I will call that. Thank you for joining me this morning. Sorry it wasn't necessarily smoother operation than it could have been, but I think we had a pretty good time anyway. So thanks for watching. If you get a chance, please support sponsors, support us. They are Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global, Coolwick, Bowlers Mart, Turbo, Firelight Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. I guess I will see you once before Christmas, next Thursday, I think. But I'm not here Tuesday because I'll be flying. But hopefully you all have a great time at Christmas. Hopefully everybody gets the gets the gifts they want of bowling balls under the tree. A Storm bowling ball is always a welcome present from everybody. So with that, I will see you in a week. Ryan is bowling the RPI, so Chris is out there. Chris may or may not run a show on Thursday. I'm not 100% sure what's going on yet, but thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support this year. We really appreciate you. We have exciting things coming in 2025. We will continue. Both me and Chris are re-signed through 2025, so we will continue to bring all of the Storm related content. We've got all the ball reviews. Thank you again to Gary Hulsenberg for getting that sorted for us. And yeah, exciting times. We will see you soon. Take it easy. Bye now.